this is PowerPoint, right? We all have this. If you guys don't have PowerPoint on you right now, if you go to powerpoint.new and sign up for Microsoft account, you can run PowerPoint online for free at any point. And you have all the same features that I have available here with a paid for account. So first thing we're gonna talk about is in the top section here. If you guys see my little arrow down here with the little green box around it, that's just kind of like a little highlighter so you guys can see where my mouse is at all times. So I'm gonna move this to the top here. And in PowerPoint world, these are the tabs. So you have a home tab, insert tab, draw tab, design, transition, animation, slideshow, records, review, view, and help. We won't use help too much. We'll use view once or twice, depending on what rabbit holes we go down to. We won't really go into the review section. I will talk about the records later on near the end of the class for a couple cool, fun tips and tricks. We will dive deep into the tab of slideshows. We'll touch on animations and transitions. We'll talk about designs real quick. Also, two things to note about designs and the slide size. We won't talk about draw too much at all. And then our pretty much our main section will be the insert and the homepage. This is probably the two most important sections to be in outside of your slideshow section here. So we're going to dive into all that. But this whole top row here is called tabs. And the way PowerPoint has done this is tabs is in the top. And then the second thing you have here is these are called ribbon. And this ribbon can go away. So I can hide the ribbon, click back on the draw section, and I can pin that back down so it stays there permanently. So if you need more real estate for any reason, you can go ahead and hide it. And once you click on a section you need, it'll come back up. This is called the ribbons. And within a ribbon, you have what's called groups. So if I go back to the home page here, this is my home is my tab. My ribbon is this portion here. And my groups is the clipboard, the slides, the fonts, paragraphs, drawing, editing. These are all groups within the ribbons. And these are meant to be those quick access functionalities. And then we'll also dive into today a little bit more advanced functions. So some things you can do here is like in the font section. If I click on fonts, this section gets activated. And there's a more advanced function. So this is what PowerPoint has determined over the years of development, right? That these are the most important things you're probably going to run into the most amount of times. And in PowerPoint, there's normally two ways to do things. So I clicked in here. If I were to type something, say, hello world. That's in there. This is activated. I can either modify here or I could double click and modify here. So these, again, are the quick actions buttons. If I wanted to do more advanced functionalities, you could go click on the down arrow. And this will go to that next more advanced level. So there's 3 layers of menus, essentially, tabs, ribbons, and then advanced. And this is how you can get into more nitty gritty of what you're doing, okay? So that's just a quick overview of that side. This is how the top pretty much works. These are the what PowerPoint has determined are the most go-to functions. And we'll kind of dive into that little by little today as we go through things. The next thing I want to show you guys is in down bottom left-hand side here. You have your slide numbers. So we're on slide 1 of 12. If I were to add more slides here, so I'm going to click on 1. I'm going to double click on 1, sorry. I'm going to hit Control C for copy and Control V to double that up. And I'm going to hit Shift, and I'm going to highlight both of these, hit Control C and then Control V, and that'll double that up. And again, I'll hit number 4. I'll hold down Shift, go to 1, Control Copy, Control 4. Now I have 8 total slides here. And you can see from my slide order, I'm on slide 5 of 8 total. So this is just a quick visual of how many total slides you have versus what slide you're on. So a very good way to tell if you have a TD on, for example, trying to figure out how many slides are in the deck. This is a quick way to do that from this page. There's another way to do that when you're live in show mode. And then to the right here, you can see there's a little notebook. This notebook is actually a spell checker. So if you ever see a notebook with a check mark, this is good to go. If I click on that, spell check is complete, says everything's good. Now, if I were to spell something wrong, remember, the spell checker is only as good as the input you give it. So if I were to put in, for example, the boy tow his bike. Even though tow is not correct here, it is a correct word. So the spell checker will still say you're right. But if I put in theirs, for example, without an exclamation mark, I should get an X. And once I have that X there, I can click on this again, and the advanced section for spelling pops up here. All right, and then you can do a change there, and this is across the board. So if you ever want to real quickly just go through your PowerPoint and say, hey, is there anything misspelled here? That'll usually give you a pretty good indication if there's a misspelled section. It'll show you where it is and how to get to it. The next one over here, it's accessibility or investigation. This is an advanced use, most used for what people have color, if you're colorblind, or if you want to do spell checks, or if you want to do anything to highlight options to make it easier for people who have a disability, like again, colorblindness, loss of vision, or hearing aids. You can modify and add things here to be compliant with this stuff. And this is based off of, not the FDA. I totally forgot about that. I'm sorry. PowerPoint bases off a standard that's out in the industry right now. I can't remember the organization right now, but it'll tell you something. And so right now you see that there's an X on there. So something isn't going well for compliance. And probably most likely what it is that we're doing a black on white with not bold letters is usually what that comes down to. All right. The next one we have over here is the notes section. Let me get rid of this. The notes section. So notes section is down here where your clients can add notes. For right now, I'm on another screen right now typing fake text, which is called lerp ipsum. And I'll put that here in a second. So here's some fake text. I'm going to hit Control Copy. I'm going to put it down here. Lorem ipsum. This is the verbiage called for fake text. If you guys ever do marketing or PowerPoint mockups, you could type this into Google, LARP ipsum, and it'll give you generators, and you can generate these fake texts here essentially. So I put that in the notes here, and let's say I didn't need to see the notes, or there was no notes, I can get that out of the way. Again, give me more real estate for my canvas here or my screen area here. The next one you have is display settings. If you have a computer like mine, which is a gaming computer, and you have a graphics card, you can change the preferences from either performance or compatibility. Typically, say for best appearance, and it'll work with the graphics card, which means when you go full screen, the graphics card will use the GPU instead of the CPU. Asus are really good at that. Alienware is really good at that. IBM, depending on what you have, and HP, depending on what you have, you get the lower tier ones, they don't have a graphics card, they just have a CPU. So the more intensive or heavy the graphic is, or the PowerPoint is, the more you bog down the system. So that's something to just be cautious of. This is the way to kind of help you delegate that so that the GPU takes over when you go full screen if you have a very PowerPoint heavy machine with graphics and animations and videos and things like that. Then the next one we have over here is the, which you're typically in, which is the normal view. So it slides on the left, canvas in the center here. This is a very good way to work on very quickly and very easily kind of maneuver through things. You can also grab one of these and you can move it around, right? You can do that here if you have to with the client. You can see here and edit things out. If you want a bigger view to move things around more quickly, let's say you want to move 8 to 1, I can also drag here as well. This is a really good way if your client's kind of over your shoulder or you're working with a TD in a scenario. This is a really good way to show them everything all at once. You can kind of go through this very, very quickly to look through all the decks. This is obviously 8, so it's small, so it works out really good. But when you have 50 to 100 different slides in a deck, this becomes one of your best friends to really move through this very, very quickly. The next one you have here, again, is if you're working on this is a way for you to preview without sending out to the world. This is a way to preview your PowerPoint so you can see, of course, everything's the same here. So I'm going to double click on Hello World number 1, and I'm going to change some things here. So test. We're going to get rid of this word. We're going to get rid of this word. And we'll call this ping. And we'll leave that there. We'll change this to test 2. And we'll change this to test 3, right? We'll just do that for randomization. I'm going to use the keyboard now. So I'm going to hit 1 and enter. And that takes me to slide 1. And this is a way where if you created a very heavy deck with a lot of graphics, a lot of elements, a lot of animations, you can preview that here and test it before you send it out full screen. And again, you can do that with the TD with you or with a client over your shoulder, without having to go full screen and test this out so that everybody's seeing it in the world. So it's a good way for you to just do these things on the end. And I'm just hitting the escape key to go back one more. And then the final one here that looks like a little tripod screen, this is the slideshow view. So once you click that button, you'll be full screen out into the world. And I'm going to go ahead and go back out to here. Last thing here real quick is a lot of people that I've talked to don't really know what this button over here does. So if I zoom into this, for example, because I want to see some elements a little bit better, and we'll talk about how that works in a second. If I zoom into this because I want to see something a little bit more in detailed, I can always click on this and it'll resize this to fit my screen. So it's a very quick and easy way to do that. Sorry about that. Very quick and easy way to do that. So that is the layouts of the GUI system. This is kind of how everything runs and plays out. And these are quick things to help you navigate very, very quickly within the system. So the next thing we'll talk about is Slideshow. This is the most important thing about this class, that if you don't learn anything else, please do this. Every single show you do, as soon as you get a PowerPoint, go to Slideshow, go to Setup Slideshow, and hit loop continuously until escape. This is super, super important for two reasons. One, if for whatever reason it's a very long PowerPoint deck, maybe it's a conference you're not interested in, and you're just not paying attention for some reason, this allows the PowerPoint to, when you get to slide, for our example here is 8, it'll loop back to 1. If this is not turned on, this happens every time without fail. The client will go to a black screen, and I'll show you this in a second. They'll go to a black screen, and then they'll advance one more, and then they will close out PowerPoint from full screen mode. And if you have a logo in the background, if you have an abstract thing, that'll now be on full screen to the audience, which is never what we want to do. That will, in what I call it, the illusion of the magic we're doing will disappear at that point. Also, it looks very unprofessional, so we don't want that to ever happen. This simple thing is good for two things. One, if you're not paying attention, it'll just start over, right? Or if the E2 operator or screen switch operator isn't paying attention, it'll switch over. So very good to always turn that on and have that ready to go. And it by default is off. Okay. So this always is off, and you're gonna hit OK on that. And then what we're gonna do here real quick is I'm gonna go to design, and we're gonna talk about design real quick. So in design, you have two options, right? You have your primaries, which you can go down here and you can see more versions of that. And then out of these primaries, so let's say I click on this one here, for example, I have variations to the primary, right? And it'll change all of my settings. If you right click on any one of these, so I'm going to right click with the arrow. I have layout. And then in layout, I could change the look based off of my slide masters. Now, the reason I mention it this way is that the design will change the whole theme of the template. So if you're making a master deck, for example, that will change the entire master deck to match the theme that you've just selected. The reason we're talking about this is in here, if I go to, if right now I just put tests and I put testing of IP, okay? Or actually, we'll do something a little bit easier that was more effective. Puppies are great. All right, so puppies are great. We're gonna put in World of Dog Expo. So what I'm doing here is I have a theme that we're following, and I've added some verbiage. And PowerPoint has a designer section here, which isn't working right now. So it says no design ideas for this slide. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of Expo here for a second and see if it'll come up with a better idea. And let's get rid of this. So let's add another image here. We're going to add a stock image. So I don't know if you guys have seen the stock ones or not, but I'm going to real quickly grab one from the internet. I'm just going to type in dog, put this guy in, hit insert. And now it's generating some ideas based off of the input I gave it. And let's say I like this one. So I'm going to put that in there. So in Designer, I've created a slide. Designer only works per slide. But if you go to, if you're doing this for a client to make it look easier for you, to give you a little bit of oomph, if you go to design now and you change anything here, you are changing the entire deck, including the ones you just modified. So be cautious of when you're using designer versus the design AI option versus the design themes. Okay. Now I've only done this for us for visual purposes here. So we've got some variations here. I'm going to put this at the top here. And the last one here, I'm going to design this one just again so we can see stuff. And I'm going to do this for a test. And it's got a little bit of an animation on there. I'm going to leave it at that. So going back to the slideshow now. So slideshow, set up slideshow. I have loop continuously until done. I'm going to hit OK on that. And we're going to go full screen, which you can either hit F5 or hit slideshow. So now I've gone full screen here. I am on slide 8 of 8. I'm going to advance one more with my arrow key to the right. And it is now started over to slide 1 of 8. So now, whether I was paying attention or not, this slide is now restarted. I'm back at the beginning, which typically for us in corporate AV is going to be either logo or introduction to that speaker. That momentary restart is a cue for us to go back to logo if we missed it, but it's better than going out of that. So again, I'll come back here, go to slide review, set up slideshow, and I'm going to turn this off. Again, I'm just going to show you visually what that looks like. I'm going to hit OK. We're going to go full screen here. Now I've gone full screen. I'm on slide 1. I'm going to hit on the keyboard 8 and enter. Yeah.
Back on the design, how did you get that right section up?
Yeah. So in the design tab over here where it says designer.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then if you go to home as well, designer is also there.
Okay.
Yep. And that helps you for individual. And what I was showing you there, just to talk about a little more, is the more input you put into the individual slide, the more the design will help you do things. So like, for example, if I were to change this to just puppies now. Whoops, if I could spell it right. Let me just put dog. And now if I close this out and then reopen for dog, it should repopulate. Nope. No, is it because I already picked one? Dog, and then we'll do basket of love. I don't know. I'm making things up, right? Generating design ideas. So now it's reading the design fonts, the words you used. Yeah, so it's already locked into this one here. So what I probably have to do then is go to this, right click, go to new slide, type in that information. Dogs rule the world. Yesterday, dogs was like killing it. It's popping up. All right, so here's an icon of a dog. All right, so here's that. Here's a picture of a dog. So it's trying to figure out what you want based off of the keys you've given it. And if you close it out and reset it again, it'll give you some variations. So again, the only caution to that is it does it only on the slide that you're working on. So if I go to a different page, AI will read that page and try to figure out what's best for that page. All right. And then so real quick, so back to the slide side here, we've gone here, gone to slide setup. I've turned this off, which is by default what it normally is. And now what happens is if I go full screen, I'm on slide 6 of 9. I'm going to go ahead and hit slide 8 and enter. I'm going to go here. I have 9 slides now. Sorry. So 9 of 9. I have now a blank slide coming up next. If I were to hit enter, my screen has now gone black full screen. A client's going to be like, oh no, what's going on? And they're going to hit one more time. And as soon as you do that, I've now backed out of my full screen. So typically when we do PowerPoint, we're in extended mode. Your extended monitor now is showing the back of whatever that display is. If it's black, then hey, good to go. No one notices except that they saw a black screen. But again, this is for you to protect you and save your butt in the last minute if you're not paying attention, and also so that you never go out of that screen so that the client never sees anything going wrong. So that is the number one thing you always want to do when you're checking this. The next thing we're going to talk about real quick is embedded files. So we're going to do this 2 different ways here for multiple reasons. So we're going to dive into videos here for a second. This is another thing that happens. I 100% recommend never doing video in PowerPoint unless you like it's a last minute thing. And the reason that is that one, we almost never want to be online. Okay. And I'll explain that in a second. We never want to be online because of updates. We never want to be online because the computer, if you're on a Mac, for example, depending on what version you're on, it may sync up the time code may sync up to like the world clock and say, oh, it's 6 o'clock, it's nighttime, and then everything goes to dark mode, right? Because it's nighttime. If you have settings for that on your computers, that's gonna happen automatically if it's online. If you have a Windows machine, sometimes updates can happen in the background. They do not care what you're doing. So if you're doing a gala at night one day, and your computer starts, oh, this is my update time, 8 o'clock at night, and it goes into update mode, you're stuck doing an update. So always want to be offline, always want to turn those things off. Never want to be online because you don't want to have anything running in the background or trying to access it in the background. And also the Wi-Fi or the hard line that you're on could be interrupting things. So if you're doing a streaming event, it's a little bit different, but for PowerPoint, we almost never want to be online. The second thing I'm going to talk about is the difference between an online video and an embedded video. So on one, we're going to add an embedded video. I'm going to go to the insert tab, and in the insert tab in the groups, I'm looking for media. And in the media one, I'm going to go to video, and I'm going to add it from this device. From this device, I'm going to add Big Buck Bunny. So what Big Buck Bunny is a Blender created short movie or a short film that got tons of awards back in the day. It's about 15 years old now. But what he has done, or the creator of these, the guys that built this, they've created a test web page, and they allow you to download multiple versions of Big Buck Bunny. These are about 7-second clips, and I'll play that through. And these are in different formats. So MP4, AVI, MP4 264, MP4 265, MKV, and MOV. So if you have a content you want to just test out and see how it's working, they have these little snippets that give you for free. You can download them. They're very popular. They're used widely. So this is an embedded video we have here. And like normal in the tab section now, if you look up top, these advanced only video options have popped up. So they're not there. They're not there by default until you need them. So there's an advanced video format, which we won't get into this one too much because we're not really going to play in here. But we'll play a lot in playback. And what I want you to notice right now is in the playback section, I have full control of my video options, full control of my editing options, which we'll talk about in a second. But I have full control of the trim video option, and I have add bookmarks or play it here. And again, 2 ways to do everything, right? So if I play it here, plays my video. I can also just play it here, or I can use the keyboard and use the space bar and play it that way. So multiple ways to do that. Again, PowerPoint trying to make it as easy as possible for the user. The next video we're going to do here is video number 2. And again, I'm going to bring this down here. I'm going to slide this up. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this text box. Then I'm going to go back to insert. I'm going to go to video, and I'm going to go to online videos. Again, this happens a lot of times. We definitely don't want to do an online video. You could copy and paste any video within Venmo, YouTube, or a Slideshow, for example, and it'll embed into the PowerPoint. I've chosen here for the last 24 hours, 48 hours now, is Spring, which is another Academy Award winning movie from Blender. Again, a short film. Let me not say movie, a short film. that was done in Blender. And I'm going to add that here. And what I want you guys to notice, again, these are visual cues for you as an operator to very quickly know what's going on. So this is video 2. I see there's a video here. And there's 2 key differences here. One, there's a play button here, which tells me that it's online. If that's not enough of a clue, if I go to playback, I do not have any controls. No bookmark, no editing, no videos, because this is an online video. So I cannot control and edit anything because it's online. So it has to be done through the player that you're using. So that's YouTube, SlideShare, or Vimeo. Okay. So these are visual cues. The other thing, the reason we built this way is for the next thing that I want to show you. So a lot of times you guys will get PowerPoints from a person, whether it's last minute or not, and your TD or the show caller or the video engineer will need to know how many files are, or if there are embedded files. And normally what you see guys do who are less experienced is they will go through, I got to go through the slide, and they'll like real quickly kind of go through and try to see what's going on. There's a faster way to do that. If you go to File, in Files, go to Info. In Info, go to Show All Properties. So right over here, Show All Properties. In here, I have Media Clips 2. Whether you have an audio clip, a video clip, anything that's embedded that has a player functionality built in, which PowerPoint does have that built in, it'll show up here. And at the end of the class here, I'll show you a way to rip those out. I'll show you 2 ways to do that. So for this PowerPoint, I'll show you the easy way. So if you have 1 or 2 videos, I'll also add, it tells me how many they are. It doesn't tell me where they are. So keep in mind, I can say, hey, there's 2 clips in here. I got to find them though. I can say it to my client so that they know, hey, there is video in here, or there is some kind of media in here. Give me a second to see where they're at. Or maybe the client needs to, hey, do you know what slide has these videos on it? And they may say, oh yeah, it's think it's slide, like whatever. Type in that 25, enter, 30, enter, whatever they think it is. Or do it visually by going to the page. So I'm gonna go back here real quick, and I'm gonna go back to those videos. So here on this one, I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna go back to playback, and in playback, just save media as. So again, 8 slides, not a big deal. There's 2 videos. I can see that, click there. I can save this media and save it to my desktop. I can rip it off of PowerPoint and give it to my playback operator or my media server operator. Boom, super easy, okay? At the end of the class, I'll show you a different way to do that. If you have a bigger file or a master deck that has multiple video files, let's say 12 or 14 in there, and you got to get a bunch of them all at once. Instead of trying to do one individually, I'll show you a way to unpack or essentially deconstruct a PowerPoint so that you get those files very, very quickly. The other thing I'll note is, again, this is an online video. So you can save media as, nope, you cannot. So if it's an online video, you will need to get that information from the client to where that video is, okay? Next thing we'll make a note here is we're going to talk about a little bit on the video side is what you have control over. So on the video side, in here, I have trim options. So, green for my trimming. So like any other playback, I can trim this. So here's my new start time, and here is my new fade time. I want it to stop here, or my new end time. So now that video has been shrunken down, I hit OK, and now you can see it's done my edits. And that went from a 7-second video to, let's say, like a 5-second video. 3, 4, 5, 6, just shy of 7. So I've done that option there. I've created a new end and start point, and that could be whether maybe the video you got has a long tail just black, or it starts off in black and you want to start off in black. Only caution here is that you want to make sure that the audio in a video doesn't get cut off if you're doing that. When we're talking about audio, I don't have a good answer for this. These are the controls you have: high, medium, and low. I don't know what that means, but low, if you go here, it will never go past low. So that could be 20%, that could be 30%, I'm not sure. If you go to medium again, I can see that visually. That looks like 50% to me. Could be 40%, could be 60, I'm not really sure. And I'm gonna go to high here, and I have full control of that, right? So, whoops. So I have full control of high, and I can go all the way max volume. Typically, what I would do on a job site is leave it on high, and then control all the volumes from down here in this section, sending it out to my computer this way, controlling volumes that way. If a video is told, hey, I don't need the audio for this video, by all means, make your audio guy's life easier. Don't make him remember one random video in one slide. Just go to volume control here and mute that audio. So he doesn't worry about anything. Hey, keep me on all the time. Don't worry about that. I'm just gonna mute it on my end. You don't have to worry about muting it on your end. Again, this is just being helpful for the team and doing more for your position so they make it easier for everybody else on the job. So they're not trying to remember, oh yeah, there's 12 videos here and one is, I gotta figure out which one that is. Don't worry about it. Just mute it for them, make it easy for everybody. Let's talk about this sequence here. So you have options both for embedded videos and for online videos for what's called the start or click sequence. So in click sequence right now is going to be, if I go to this PowerPoint and I click with a clicker or with a mouse, let's say, not the mouse, sorry, with a keyboard on right, it's going to go to that PowerPoint, and then the next click, it's going to play that video. Okay. Right now, if I did it the way it is right now, it would stay within that window. It wouldn't move. It would play. When it's done, it would just stop and start over again. The next one is automatically. Automatically means that when I go to the slide, it will play automatically. And again, there's a couple options we could change on how that works. But again, right now, that function means when I get to that slide, so once I pass slide 1 and go to 2, it'll play automatically. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And then when clicked on, I don't recommend ever using this option unless the client has some kind of scenario where like he's going to talk about XYZ and needs us to control it. And that is very rare to happen. But when clicked on means that you, the operator, have to pay very close attention and click it when they want you to click it. And I'll show you what that looks like. So in click sequence, I'm going to go click on that and we're going to play, and then we're going to leave all these things off for right now. I'm going to go to down here, right? Instead of hitting F5, I'm going to go down here and hit slideshow. And I'm going to hit 1, enter. So I'm on slide 1. I'm going to advance 1 slide. So I'm going to hit the keyboard on the right arrow key. I'm on the slide now. I need to hit it 1 more time and it activates the video. That's what that is. So I'm going to get out of that. Okay. So now I'm going to go on click sequence. I'm going to go automatically. Again, I'm going to go to slide 1 here. I'm going to go full screen. And when I advance to the next one, it'll automatically start playing as soon as I get onto that slide. So it's already playing, right? So that's what it automatically does and looks like. Okay. And we're going to go back now and slideshow. And then I'm going to go into here. Sorry. And I'm going to click on when clicked on. So I'm going to go full screen here. I'm going to go to 1, enter. I'm on slide. I'm going to advance this slide and now nothing happens until I, the operator, click on that video and make it play. So if you ever see this pop up on the live side, that means you are on click, which you never want to do this. And I, in my opinion, you never want to see this bar either. So that is, to me, never an option. But again, I've had scenarios where the client's a doctor or a lawyer and has some kind of speech they're doing, and they have a certain sequence of when they want to do things. So those are what these 3 buttons do. These 3 buttons are the same thing or the same cues in PowerPoint for online videos. So same cue sequences here. Very, very important to know. The last thing we'll talk about for this section here, again, I click on this for that to open up that advanced menu section, is play full screen. So play full screen, the thing to note about this is when I do full screen here, no matter where this is or what design is, when I go to this slide, if I do it on automatic, if I do it on click sequence or automatic, it's where it changes, but it'll play full screen. So right now it's on click sequence. It's played a full screen. So we're going to go to 1 again. I'm going to advance. Once I hit the next button, it's going to go full screen and play through. Now, what I want you guys to notice here is once we get to that 5-second mark or 6-second mark, because we're just under 6 seconds, what's going to happen is that video is going to end and go back here. So if you don't want them to see the background, you'll need to make this full screen from the start. So you need to bring it to the upper right-hand corner or however you want to do that and make it full screen. Okay. If you want it to end and end on this. If not, it'll go back to whatever the background is. So that's something to note about when you're doing that, to just be cautious of that. Because if you don't want them to see the background like this, then you don't want to do that. All right. That's what play full screen does. If you put this on automatic, again, same scenario. If I put it on automatic, I go to slide 1. Once I go to my next one, it'll play full screen automatically. Right. So it goes right into that thing. But again, once it ends, whatever the page layout is, it'll go to that. So the one thing to note when it comes to videos is either you, if it's going to be full screen, or the presenter has to advance to the next slide. Okay. So keep that in mind. Going back here, clicking on this, playback. All right, hide while not playing. Hide while not playing is not used very often, but if you have a slide that has a lot of builds on it, you can hide that video. And again, right now we'll do it on this, and we're going to do it in click sequence so that it takes me 2 clicks to do that. And again, I'll go here full screen so you guys can see that, get a visual representation of that. I'm going to click to slide 2. Hey guys, this is video 1. I'm going to talk about blah, 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 and then I'm going to play that video. Now I can do multiple things. So I can have hide video and then play full screen once I click on it. Okay, so there's another way to do it. So I can hide video, clicking it again. Now it's gonna play full screen. It's gonna go through. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And once it's done, it goes back to this. So if it's a build that they're gonna talk about a certain amount of things, and then they want the video to play, and then it comes back to that same slide, and they're gonna talk about more things, that is an option for you to do. Not really common. And again, I try most times as much as I can to not do it in PowerPoint. I want to do it somewhere else. I don't want PowerPoint to be playing videos because it is not the right way to do that. All right, then the last thing you have is loop until stopped. This is a really popular function when you're doing medical conferences. A lot of times you'll have the loop function here, and I'm going to go here, and I'm going to click on slide 2. I'm going to right click on that, and I'm going to go to layout, and I'm going to change the layout that has some verbiage in it. So I'm going to go to this one. Here's some verbiage, and again, I'm going to go to that LARP Upsum page that I have opened in another window. I'm going to right click, copy, bring that into here, just so you guys can see some texting here. Sorry. And I'm going to change this all to white. And all I did here is I double clicked on the window, which highlighted all of that for me. Change that here. And I like corporate stuff. So corporate for me, Impact is very powerful, or Impact seems to be very corporate heavy. It's corporate, very corporate. So I'm going to do Impact here for the bolding part of that. And I'll leave that at open sans. So now I kind of have this little video sequence here. And let's say I was a presenter and I was like, man, I'm going to talk about some things. I just want this video to loop continuously. And it could be like a procedure or a technique that they're showing you. So the video's just going to be on loop while they talk about it. And we're going to just go full screen on this so you guys can see that. It'll play automatically within the configuration. Oops, sorry. Automatically. Loop until stopped. Go full screen there. So now it's going to play. And hey, this is the video 1. In this procedure, we're going to go down the rabbit hole here. We're going to talk about Big Buck Bunny and what this guy does for us in the industry as far as a test pattern generator, things like that. And I want you to know more about XYZ, right? And as you're talking, it just keeps looping and looping, looping in the background until you go to the next one or you stop it. So that's a really good function to have. So again, it's a little bit of communication between you and the clients of how they want that to play out. And the last thing we have here is rewind after playing. I normally, if I'm doing rehearsals, I will turn this function on. All this does is once I'm playing this, what can happen sometimes if you're a vMix operator or OBS operator is you could be doing a video like, the video is good, and you could stop here and then go to the next one. Sometimes, but not always, you may end up being at that same point. Oh, I already turned it on. Sorry, I have to rewind. Go here. So sometimes what may happen, yes, so it's not doing it now. But during rehearsals, when you're doing this very, very quickly and fast paced, if you don't have that on, and let's say they're going on next or they're going on right after, you may end up starting in the middle of a video, which is a horrible thing to be on. So for me, and like an SOP is to just get used to turning this rewind after playing. I get used to that. And then I typically want to ask, hey, do you want this to play automatically or do you want to play in this click sequence? And usually by looking at the slide, I can tell what's going on there. I missed this one. So in design, the one thing that we talk about here, and I'm going to do this 2 different ways here. So we're going to call this LED tricks. Okay. And I say that very loosely. This is like a oh shit scenario where I have an LED wall and maybe I need something, it's a third wall or a totem is what they're calling it nowadays, where I need something, but I don't have a player for it. You can also do this with a bunch of other products, but if you understand resolutions and layering, area of interest example, is what we're talking about here. But if you go to design and go to slide size, go to custom slide size, there's a limit to how big you can make a PowerPoint. So what I want to show you here, because this can be used multiple ways, is if I want to do an ultra wide PowerPoint, and I don't know the inches, I've never known the inches, but let's say I'm doing a 3840, I'm going to type in 3840 PX, whoops, PX, and I'm going to type in down here 1080 PX, and PX is pixels. PowerPoint will do pixels to inches conversion for you. And now I'm going to hit enter. Now I want to do in short fit. And now I've created a 3040 by 1080 PowerPoint. Now, the caution here is this does not mean that your output is doing that. You have to also make sure your output is doing a 3840 by 1080 if you're going to do it off of one machine. In this scenario, I just happen to have a 3840 by 1080 extended monitor behind me. So my graphics card, which I'm going to bring this down. Do you guys see my desktop here? So if you guys see the desktop, I'm going to click on display settings, and you'll see that my output is an actual 3040 by 1080, which is what I have available. So if I output that PowerPoint, it would fill properly to the right length. So again, that's a real quick and easy way to customize for widescreen stuff. Go back to PowerPoint here real quick. With that said, the other option, right, I'm going to revert this back to 16 by 9. I hit Control Z there. I should have said that out loud. I hit Control Z to go back there, which is the default widescreen 16 by 9 here. The reason I say LED trick here is if I add, for example, or if I get content. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert a video. This device, I have a random video here right now, so it's called screen recording. I'm going to insert that. If I go to 0, 0 coordinates, so I'm going to move this guy over here. If I go to 0, 0 coordinates, so a 0x, 0y coordinate, LED wall reads from this way into grids. So if my, let me go here real quick. Sorry, I forgot the resolution for this. PowerPoint class. And we're looking for that little video. I'm going to right click on this video and go to properties. And in properties, I'm looking for the sizing of this. Details. Here we go. So this is 496 by 502. That is the height and width of this. And let's say that was the size of my LED wall. If I'm sending out 1920 by 1080, which is a SMPTE resolution, and the LED wall was 4096 by 502, it would accept that. So this is a real like down and dirty trick you can do, doing what's called area of interest, which I've had to do this a couple times on shows for either LED walls or monitor or things like that may be inside of like a kiosk booth to resize things and send it out that way. And I can go in here and I can go in here, I can go to video formats, and I can change that. So let's say for whatever reason my LED wall was 700 pixels by 400 pixels, right? So that, whoops, I did 400, 700 px by 400 px. So we can see that it's not working properly. And the reason is that I have to go to the advanced side here, and I need to unlock my aspect ratio. And again, I'll go back here and I'll type in 700 pixels by 400 pixels. And if that was what my LED wall was, it's going to automatically do that. And then I could play this content out however I need to see fit, and it would fit that custom resolution. So again, the reason I do it this way, or the reason I'm recommending doing it this way, is that through my trials and trails with Evolve or being an ESC, depending on the show that I'm doing, I am okay for 1-to-1 pixel resolutions, and I'm okay with doing edits. However, if I can do SMPTE resolutions or standard resolutions, it will save you, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but it'll save between 3 frames or 3 seconds of the machine coming back online if there's an issue. And that doesn't seem like a lot until you're in an environment where like something goes down, you're trying to reconnect, and that seems like it takes forever to get that custom needed. So you have to understand something about SMPTE versus VISA standards. This is just a real quick way to say, hey, so LED processors and projectors are going to go through all the SMPTE standards first before they look at VISAs. They'll do, or they won't have VISA standard at all, and they just have a custom section. So they're going to go through all the SMPTE standards, 1920 by 1080, 1920 by 1200, 3840 by 1080, things like that. They'll go through all those resolutions first, and these are very quickly done on the back end. These are handshakes being happening in the back end between your end source, your your display or your end source, and the source. So Aquilon, E2, Pixel Hue, Breslum, Illumum, any one of the media service screens that you think of, it is a handshake on HDMI, for example, or SDI going on. What this allows you to do if you're doing, let's say, 1920 by 1080, which is a very common resolution, is it says, hey, I see this. And then because you're only showing, let's say, 700 by 400 pixels, this is where you can get it to go out there and show that. Again, this is just like a little trick you can do. The main point here, do this however you like, is that instead of trying to figure out the inches, just type in PX for pixels. That's the main thing to think about there. Just a little fun fun tip to show you how you can use that in a more advanced setting. Okay, so the next thing we'll talk about is now we've created kind of an impromptu deck here with different things here. I'm gonna go to designer here and I'm gonna change this out to something. Let's see. Let's do that here, just for looks. Okay, so another thing, again, these are those visual cues for you as an operator to very quickly try to figure out things to communicate back to your team when you have it. So in this slideshow, you're gonna see whether I'm in here or in here, there's these little stars. And what these stars mean visually is that there either is an animation or a transition effect. So if I go back to my main slideshow, I click on this one, there's a video here. Because there's a video and we've selected right now to in-click sequence, it automatically creates an animation, which allows me to have that click sequence, right? So instead of you having to build one like you had to do back in the day, it is automatically doing it simply because you put in there. They know that you did this playback mode. It has created that click sequence for you, which is an animation. And in here, if I go to the animation pan, so I'm in the animation tab in the group for advanced animations, I'm going to the animation pan. I can see my click sequence there. Again, I can go down to this guy and I can see that there's something here. I have my animation pan opened up still, and I can see, oh, it's for the title. So title 1, if I click on this, shows it here. It's going to do some animation and pop in there. I can go to this guy. Again, I can see that there's something here going on. Again, for the title for the dog, it's going to pop up as an animation. So it's a very quick way for you guys to see and understand where those are at. You can change your animation here. You can bring this down. You have more advanced options. Again, you can go to the add an animation tab here. Go to the second, again, lower tier, that more advanced option of operating system is here. And again, this is a rabbit hole. If we have time, I will show you, I'll show you the new, better teleprompter, which we're getting to really soon. And then if you guys want to have some time with it, I'll show you the old school way where we used to create a teleprompter in PowerPoint so that our speakers could have a teleprompter for their stuff. But there is a new way that's really effective and visually pleasing, and it kind of works out for most things. Any questions about how to visually identify whether you have an animation or a transition? It's, by the way, it's the same exact thing. So if I go, I'll show you that real quick. If I go to here, the thing to note is that I'm going to do it. It'll be from 5. If I add it to 5, let's say I do a morph, it's going to go from 4 to 5. So it's always if whatever you're putting on, it's the slide above it that gets the transition. And I can preview that, what that looks like here. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's animation or transition, it is going to be here. And once you get into this point, again, if I click on this one, I see there's a star there. I see there's a cue there. So for an animation, and I see in transition, I see there's no animation in my animation pan, but I see in transition that there is a transition on, and I have there. And then you can modify, again, there's other ways to do that, modify what it's doing, which we won't get into that. That's a whole day. This is a whole day's class thing, but this is how you can tell very quickly whether there's a transition or animation, and you can check those out visually. Final thing I'm going to show you guys here is how to unpack big files. So right now we have 9 slides. If I had to just grab these videos very quickly, I can go into here, click on this. I can go to Playback, and I can save that media file. If you have an embedded video like here, like we talked about already, I cannot save that file because it is an online video. So there's nothing to save essentially because it's not trying to rip it off YouTube. But again, let's say I have 100 slides and I have dozens of files I need to get to my Playback operator. And instead of me going one by one and doing this individually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save this deck, save as. Now I'm going to save it to a location that I can get to. I'm going to save this to the desktop, and I'm going to call this Puppies Are Great. We're going to hit save. Okay. And I'm going to close this out now. So you guys should see this. You can see over here, I have this one here. I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to Control C, Control V to make a copy of that deck. So now I have a copy of this deck. Okay. What I'm looking for is the file extension, which is right here. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this. You're going to right click. You're going to go to rename, and you're going to rename the file extension. This is the one way to do this. I'm going to show you something different though, in case you don't see that option right now in your system. Windows 11 changed a couple things around. So if I go to File, I'm going to go full screen on this. I'm going to go to Desktop. If I go to File and I see the PowerPoint, which is Puppies Are Great, and copy, I see the PTX. I right click on that. I go to Rename. I can change my copied version to a zip file. Okay. Before I do that though, if you don't see that option, if you go to View up here, you have all these options here. If you go to this secondary tier, menu tier, and you click on File Name Extension, so I've turned it off now. I do not have the extension anymore. I cannot rename this properly. So all I can do is name this, but I cannot change the file type, which is what I want to change. Okay, so I can rename the PowerPoint whatever I want, right? But I want to know this. I do want to keep the copy there. So we're going to say great, and we're going to call it copy. So again, I can rename this all I want. This doesn't do what I need it to do. I need to have the file name extension activated. Once that's done, we're going to, again, go to the copy, which now is gone. Oh, here we go. Copy. Great copy. I'm going to right click. right click, rename that, and I'm going to change PPTX, which is the file type, to a zip file. This trick, by the way, works on PCs and Macs. So if you have a MP4 file, you want to change it to MOV, you can change the file extension name. I'm going to hit enter here. It's going to give me a warning for renaming. I'm not sure why the window's not showing up properly when I do screen share, but I'm going to hit OK. Now I have zipped that entire PowerPoint. Two things to note here. One, I made a copy of the PowerPoint because once you zip this and deconstruct it, it is gone, essentially. You cannot go back from this scenario. So always make a copy of your PowerPoint to do this. When you click on that, you're going to hit extract all. And I'm going to extract there. And it's going to create a folder for you with all the elements in there. So now I have this extracted file. This is a deconstruction of my PowerPoint. So everything has been separated. So if I go to PowerPoint now and I go to media, all the media that I had, including the videos, are here and organized. So I can now take this, put it on a thumb drive, give it to somebody, and all the files I have are going to be there, minus the online one. So the online one will show you the thumbnail that it grabbed, but it will not show you all the information. But that video that I embedded is right here. So I don't have to go back to the client and say, hey, you got to go to the client, give me these files. I don't have them. You do have them. You got to take them out of there. And instead of you having to track down multiple files all at once, you just go ahead and do this trick here, or this workaround, and you can get all those into one file very, very quickly. And if there's any elements like a logo or lower thirds that you might need, again, it'll all be in here, which is very easy to use to grab and go. So you can see I have a PNG of that, which is what it used, and I have the media file here, which is MP4. So this is the very quick and easy way to get up to speed on or not up to speed, get those files when you have a massive deck that has multiple files. This is the quick and easy way to do that. So you can go ahead and take that, put it on a thumb drive, give it to your clients, or give it to the playback operator or media server operator to now have that content as well, so that it's not playing out of your system.